work has been stressful lately.
It's 11:31.
But more than that, I started losing the spark that got me into software engineering in the first place. I knew I needed a break, but every time I thought about actually taking medical leave, this weird mix of guilt and fear stopped me.
Time to go home.
I didn't know back then, but I was scared. I was scared of admitting that I'm stressed and burnt out, but more importantly, who am I if I don't have my job? So as my first experiment in this 12-month challenge,
But baby, that was then. Who knows where this goes?
I decided to take a leap of faith
I'm scared of this ghost.
and click submit.
And honestly, I've never felt happier. Why, hello guys! Welcome to the first official episode of my year of messing up. And I'm your host, April. A month ago, I posted a trailer for this series, and if you haven't seen it, I'll link it here. But this is our first episode, and here's how it works. Every month, I'll be checking in with you about one experiment that I'm trying. Something that I've been too scared to try because I'm too scared to fail. But in this year, we're gonna mess it up together. In each episode, you'll first see a cinematic recap like the one you just watched. Honestly, I'm not even confident calling them cinematic yet, but I am trying my best. Then we'll sit down together to reflect on what has happened, what I've learned, and I'll give you a peek into next month's experiment. But before we dive in, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to follow along in this journey, and scan this QR code over here to share your own journey of messing up, but more on that later. Then we'll sit down together to reflect on what has happened, what I learned, and I'll give you a sneak peek into next month's experiment. And I've made a poster board to track my progress. Gosh darn it, I didn't know it's gonna blend in with the wall. Anyways, I know it looks kind of empty right now, but here's how it works. I made a 2D chart, and on the x-axis, it measures how much I want this, whereas on the y-axis, I measure how much I tried. So each month, I have a little sticker, an artifact of the experiment that I've been going through in the month, and after the month, depending on how much I wanted it and how hard I tried, I will put this sticker somewhere on this graph. After I put it on the graph, I would use one of these 3 colored markers to frame it. Green means this experiment was a success, yellow means I learned something really insightful from the challenge, and the red marker means that I failed the experiment. Hopefully, by the end of this challenge, we'll see this poster board filled up with all the little stickers for each challenge we did for the 12 months, and we'll see how far we'll go from here. And to give you some context, my experiment for the first month was to take medical leave from work. I've been thinking about this for about 2 months before I actually started taking medical leave because I keep on pushing it off and wait for my intern to finish his summer internship. But this is the sticker for the month, and it's ready to go on my poster board. But before I tell you whether I succeeded or failed this experiment, let's first reflect on what has happened. If you want to follow along the reflection prompts with me, grab your journals and light up your candles, as some of these questions may hit for you too. So the first question is, what has worked in this month? For me, I definitely think a big win of this month is finally having the gut to submit the FMLA, because I was so scared that taking a medical leave from work would ruin my definition of who I am. And I had a lot of imposter syndrome around even taking this leap of faith and submit the medical leave request, because, call me weird, but part of me had a lot of self-doubt and questions like, what if I'm not depressed enough to even qualify for medical leave? In the process, seeking help from a psychiatrist really helped to give me reassurance on what I'm feeling is normal and it's okay to take a medical leave. Aside from that, I've also received overwhelmingly positive support from my friends and family surrounding my decision of taking a medical leave. So I think in this specific scenario where I'm already putting a lot of stress on myself, having the support from others really helped me to take this leap of faith. Honestly, for the first 2 weeks ever since I submitted the leave request, I've never felt happier. Every day I go to bed feeling so grateful that I'm able to be on a medical leave, and it has helped with my mental health so much. The second question is, what is the biggest flop of the month? As I mentioned earlier, even though I had fun in the first 2 weeks, YouTube immediately filled up all of my free time, and I started viewing YouTube as my new 9 to 5. Every day when my boyfriend goes to work, I also work on YouTube during the time that he's at work, and that happens every single day in the weekdays, and sometimes I also work on the weekends. I really started questioning myself, is there actually that many work on YouTube, or am I just filling up my empty time time with YouTube because I have this need for a new identity. I don't know. I am also reminded by Parkinson's law, which states work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. And I feel like that's literally me right now. Even when I had a 9 to 5, I was able to post every other week or at least every 3 weeks. But now I feel like I'm literally spending 30-40 hours to maintain my weekly posting schedule, which sounds insane and doesn't make sense. So part of me started to really questioning if there's part of me that's clinging to a work identity, and now that I don't have work, I'm trying to identify myself as a YouTuber. I don't know if that makes sense, but the takeaway is I want to time box my time spent on YouTube videos. I feel like I should have spent more time to relax during my time off of work. The last question here is, what surprised me? So I briefly mentioned it earlier, but for this month, what surprised me is that I received a lot of support from friends and family in my decision to take a medical leave from work. I think people were able to notice how stressed I am. I was constantly saying no to gatherings and events, and I also stopped going back home. But another more important aspect that I found surprising is that before I took medical leave, I was having a lot of self-doubt into whether I'm just too weak that I have to cave in and take medical leave because I literally don't know anyone around me who was in the same boat as me. I thought I had to over-explain myself on why I made the decision, how I made the decision, but every time I just bring up medical leave, people understand me and people tell me they've done it or they're doing it right now. And I was so surprised because before I started being vulnerable and telling people that I'm starting to take a leave, everyone is trying to pretend that they have it all and they have perfect mental health. But once I really started opening up, I realized that people are simply more broken than they appear to be, which also gave me reassurance because I feel like there is an invisible community of people who's trying to manage the stress. But this is something that's not really talked about. So having that realization also encouraged me to keep on posting about my burnout journey and my healing journey here on the internet because I feel like it's an important topic to talk about, and I just hope to bring more awareness into this issue. To make sure that I don't just do the challenge for the sake of doing a challenge, every month I will also share my learnings with you. It could be a book, a TV series, a podcast episode, conversations with my therapist, or whatever that helps me grow as a person. So the first thing that I wanted to share is a book. It's called The Story by Robert McKee. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Honestly, this is a pretty big book. I instead listened to a 4-hour-long podcast in Mandarin summarizing every single detail in the book. And the gist of the book is going through all the principles that makes a good story. And I found it really helpful because I feel like every single English class or history class I've taken in high school or college is analytical writing, and I never learned how to actually tell a good story. And that is why I was struggling so much when I first started vlogging on YouTube because I feel like my stories are so bland. But I feel like listening to the whole podcast helps me understand a lot on what makes a good story. For me, I think the most interesting part is that hard choices defines a character, and you get to learn so much about a character when life only gives them 2 choices that are equally good or equally bad, and they have to choose one over the other. I think that is something I've never thought about before, and I'm gonna link the podcast in the descriptions in case you're interested. Just an FYI, it is a Mandarin podcast, and I don't believe there are translations for it, but the original book is in English, so feel free to check it out. I also was able to grasp a couple of techniques here and there that really help with my storytelling abilities through my vlogs here on YouTube. Oh, I think I rambled too much on the first one, but the second book that I wanted to talk about is The Mountain Is You. And this book is actually featured in my series trailer, and that's also why I named this 1-year-long challenge series My Year of Messing Up, because it was this book that taught me that I had a lot of fear towards failure, and it's the fear of failure that surpassed my desire for success, and that is why I was in a state where I wanted to change my life, but I also don't want to do anything about it. But this month, I read a little bit more about the book. It surfaced another fear that I had, which is the fear of being seen. In Chinese, we have the saying called 棒打出头鸟, which means that if you're trying to stick your head out, you're gonna get shot. That happens to me throughout my childhood. Whenever I try to flex, my parents would tell me, oh, you're supposed to be humble, not show off yourself. And because of that, I really had a lot of fear in being seen, especially in the beginning when I started making YouTube videos, which is why I really stick to the safe zone about talking about movies and books. But I finally came to the conclusion that I just love attention and I have accepted the fact that I like attention and I like building a community. So there's nothing wrong with that. Having that epitome really helps me unlock another mental block of mine and push me to make more authentic videos. I know we rambled a lot about YouTube already, and I promise that my third mentor this month has nothing to do with YouTube. In fact, it is a K-drama on Netflix called When Life Gives You Tangerines. It is a story following a girl and a boy from Jeju Island in the 1960s. For all their life, their goal is to try to escape the little island of Jeju and go to Seoul. In the first episode, you can see how poor the family is, and yet they're still trying so hard to live the best version of their life. And that also grounds me to release myself from chasing everything that is out there, whether it be chasing money, chasing fame, chasing a good title. By following their stories in the 1960s, I am able to also have more gratitude in accepting that my life is pretty good as it is, and I don't have to chase all those unnecessary things just to prove myself. So now that we have finished the month 1 reflection, it's time to put our sticker onto the board. As a quick reminder that I'm sure all of you already know by now, my challenge to myself for the first month is to take a medical leave from work. I did it. This is a screenshot from the email that told me that my medical leave request got approved. So how much I wanted it. I would say I really needed a break. I was terribly burnt out, and everyone around me knew that I needed a break. So I would rate myself a 9 out of 10. The only one missing point is because I had a lot of imposter syndrome and feel like maybe I don't deserve a leave. How much I tried. Honestly, getting a medical leave approved isn't that hard, and I don't think I tried a lot. I think the hardest part with getting a medical leave is to be able to make that mental decision. So I wouldn't say I definitely did no work at all. I would probably give it a 5 out of 10 because I did some work, but it's not that hard. And that brings us to about here in the chart. Woohoo! That is our first sticker on the chart. And now is the exciting moment. Did I succeed or did I fail? Success! Honestly, I can't tell if you can see the green frame over here, but that is our first experiment on the board. Now 1 down, 11 more to go.
Hi guys, welcome to We're All Messing It Up, the intermission where you can anonymously share what you would do if you know you couldn't fail. I thought it would be nice to film this section right before my bedtime so that it feels like we're besties on FaceTime. And since this is episode 1, I've previously sent the submission link to some friends and family. So the first submission goes, I wanted to start a podcast, but I'm terrified of hearing my own voice played back. What if people think I sound annoying or stupid? I've had the idea for 2 years and I haven't recorded a single episode. And the nickname for this submission is called Wendy. Honestly, Wendy, I feel that so much. I had so much fear before I started posting on YouTube because I feel like I was never ready. And in fact, right before I posted my first video ever on my channel, I actually tried filming more than 4 times and I just never looked back at my footage because I thought they were so awful. But I guess you have to understand if you want the fear to win or if you want your desire to make a podcast to win. If you really want to make podcasts really badly, I think you will be able to overcome the fear and you'll be able to make the podcast. Honestly, I'm also figuring it out together. And just a reminder for anyone else there watching this part, I have a QR code here to submit your year of messing up, but I will also link it in the description box below. So if you also want to follow along in my year-long challenge, please make sure to click on the link and make a submission. Thank you guys, and we're going back to the usual programming.
Hi guys, welcome back. So that was month 1. Overall, really positive. I'm so grateful that I finally got the space to take a breather and just relax in life while working on some of my creative hobbies such as YouTube and theater. But now it's time to talk about our experiment for the next month. So for me, my experiment for month 2 is to focus on YouTube, try to maintain a weekly posting rhythm, and try my best to hone in my crafts as a storyteller and a video creator. And here is what scares me about that. As I mentioned earlier, I still have imposter syndromes when telling people that I have a channel. In fact, I only shared my YouTube channel to a handful of people, and most people don't even know I have a YouTube channel. So even though I have a lot of support from my boyfriend, it's still a pretty lonely journey, and I think people don't know and don't understand what I'm doing. It's at times a little bit hard because even though I did have a lot of encouragement and a lot of people know that I'm on medical leave and are happy for me for being on medical leave, sometimes they come to me and tell me how I must be having it easy and just chilling every day day and relaxing. Whereas that's not necessarily the truth because I kind of let YouTube overflow my plate a little bit in this first month. So I'm really trying my best to time box YouTube and create a better workflow to be able to make videos more efficiently, but also have a stronger self-esteem so I don't scroll on YouTube Studio all the time. Yeah, I'm also trying to persevere on this YouTube journey because sometimes I still think about monetization. I've talked about this in my cabin vlog before, but it feels so far away to be able to get monetized on YouTube. Yet I feel like monetization is my first benchmark to validate that I'm doing this for a purpose. I'm a little beat down and jaded in terms of my prospect here, but I guess that's also the challenge for next month is to overcome this emotional barrier and to be able to stick with my posting schedule. Honestly, that is the point of this challenge, to try things that scare me and let's see what will happen.
I wanted a break from work, and now I have one. But I'm still obsessing, just over something different. Views, validation, trying to prove something. Can I actually call myself a YouTuber? Or am I just trading one trap for another?